representative for Brownsville Educators Stand Together. That's our local. State and national would be the American Federation of Teachers. We are holding our third forum of the week, place 5 for the Brownsville Independent School District. I want to welcome both candidates, and I want to thank them for coming and spending their evening with us, sharing their viewpoints. I greatly appreciate it, both. They are Mr. Erasmo Castro and Mrs. Daniela Lopez Valdez. All right. Mr. Castro stated that he would like to be referred to as Erasmo, respectfully so, and Ms. Valdez as Ms. Valdez. All right. So with that, we're going to get started. The forum will be questions, alternating questions. One candidate will get the first question. It'll be followed by the second candidate, but the next question, it'll be reversed, and so forth. All right, to make it as fair as possible for everybody. And we always state, you know, and I would like both candidates to state that I have not given them the questions beforehand. Mr. Castro, have we given you any other questions?
No, sir, not at all.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez, have we given you any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we'll start with an introduction, a basic introduction. What I would like is for each candidate, you'll have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. We want to know who you are. So we want you to tell us about yourself, your family, your educational background, and your occupation. All right, Erasmo, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you so much again for all the members of Brownsville Educators Stand Together for hosting this forum and for having us on. I was born and raised here in the city of Brownsville. I spent my schooling at BISD. I went to Webb Elementary. I went to Cromac, Rosa del Castillo, Cummings Junior High, and Porter High School. I have a bachelor's degree in Christian Studies from Austin Graduate School of Theology. And I work here in the city of Brownsville doing tax preparation and finding other documentation, mostly for the Hispanic community here in the city of Brownsville. I also do some preaching on Sundays at our local church, Iglesia de Cristo, where I have been a member, I could say, all my life. I have my parents still with me, very, very fortunate. And I have 6 amazing sisters. All of my sisters are very active here in the city of Brownsville in one way, shape, or other, with their own different little groups helping the community. I think one of the things that is well known about Erasmo Castro here in the city of Brownsville is that I do consider myself as a social activist where, you know, we focus on helping each other. You know, bringing community together to try and see or meet the needs of individuals who are, you know, in need of any type of assistance. That is one of the things that, you know, propelled me into seeking public service through elections. I have run for mayor of the city of Brownsville. I ran for school board 2 previous times and was successful the last time. And I am very, very honored and very humbled to have received the invitation tonight. And I applaud all candidates who threw the hat in the ring. So thank you all so much for having this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Valdez, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your family,
I have
your
to say so
educational
myself.
background, and your occupation.
Hey, no papers.
First of all, I would like to thank the members of Brownsville Educators Stand Together for inviting me here to be part of this forum. I was actually born and raised in Brownsville, Texas. My parents are Joey and Sylvia Lopez, and my mom has been a teacher for BISD for 36 years. And my husband is Hector Valdez. Public service has been instilled into my family values, and I was raised on the importance of giving back to your community. I went to Episcopal Day School and St. Joseph Academy, and I went on to receive a Bachelor of Arts in Marketing and Economic Sociology with a minor in Fashion Media at Southern Methodist University. After I graduated, I worked at JCPenney corporate office for 4 years, where I managed a multi-channel marketing budget accounting for 1.1 billion US dollars, which is twice the amount of the BISD budget.
Same speech.
I was the youngest leader in my position by 30 years. I managed a team of 5 employees, and I went on to start my own marketing consulting company called Style House Media. I am the marketing director of Blue Turtle Project. I'm a recent graduate from Leadership Brownsville Class 35, and member of Connect BTX, and a member of St. Mary's Catholic Church. And I really love my community, and that's why I decided to run for BISD, because I really want to make a positive impact.
Never went to BISD.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so after the introduction, we'll start with the questions. We're going to start with you, Ms. Valdez. Mrs. Valdez, why are you running for the school board? What are your priorities for BISD? And why should Brownsville Educators Stand Together / American Federation of Teachers support your candidacy?
I'm running for school board because I understand the importance of education in our community. And I really believe that the students and educators of BISD deserve the best. They deserve a fresh perspective. They deserve innovative ideas and a leader who serves on the principles of integrity, honesty, fairness, and public service. It's our duty to give back to our community and make sure our students and educators come first. And my priorities are exactly that: leadership based on the foundation of integrity, honesty, and public service, to ensure the safety and well-being of the students, teachers, and staff with a modern and innovative approach, making fiscally responsible decisions, working to fiscally responsibly raise teachers and classified employee salaries, and securing the long-term health and wellness of our students and staff. And I believe that BEST AFT should support me because of my strong work ethic, my experience, and because I promise to serve the students and educators of BISD to the best of my ability. I will not let you down. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Erasmo, why are you running for the school board? What are your priorities for BISD? Why should Brownsville Educators Stand Together / American Federation of Teachers support your candidacy?
Well, first of all, let me say that one of the reasons that has propelled me, in seeking to be a board member for the district is what we have experienced in the past 6 months. And let me say that I feel that one of the things that has been lacking at the district right now is actually true leadership in regards to putting out a plan, a direction for our individuals to go by. There is no clear pathway forward. I feel that the current sitting board members, the majority of them, have left us astray in regards to providing for the district a lot of the stability, a lot of the resources, a lot of the empathy that should go into a public service. During these past 6 months, we have seen some $20 million squandered on PPE that was expired for our staff and personnel. In no way, shape, or form has the current board majority come out and eased the anxiety that has been raised by the terrible situation that we are all living with this COVID-19. It is very, very unfortunate for a district not to have direction, not to have leadership. And I hope that was one of the things that a lot of the people here in the city of Brownsville have gotten to expect from myself in regards to my public service and my social activism here in the city. I think that some of the priorities that I really want to focus on are, a lot of the same stuff that we always mention in regards to, assuring, fair salaries for our personnel, both classified and certified. I do believe that we also should get, what was promised to our community in regards to a lot of the resources that we just haven't received. Why BEST should support me is because I am the only viable candidate in this race.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this next question will go to Erasmo first. What experience do you bring to the district as a BISD trustee? What makes you more qualified than your opponent?
Well, it's very simple. I've actually served on the BISD board before, but besides serving on the BISD board, I have also been very active in regards to my community's concerns, a lot of their wants and their desires. I will say that aside from everything other, what makes me the best candidate for this position is that I ran and I'm continuing to run on a transparent stewardship mantra. One of the things that I accomplished while I was on the board of trustees was after being elected, after 2 months of being in service, I walked myself into the FBI office here in Brownsville, Texas, in order to report the corruption that we have so blatantly seen and experienced, not only as a district, but as a community. After 2 months of being on the board, I walked myself in to report a lot of the misdoings of this board. And for many months, we received retaliation from the majority of the corrupt board that is still in power as of this day. And never relented, never stood back, and never bent over to the will or whim of these individuals. We were very fortunate as a community that this was not only brought to light, but an individual has been indicted and is currently facing charges for taking bribes from an undercover federal agent. And again, that speaks a lot to the character of not only an individual who opted to go the right path and to report these misdoings, but also continue to report the misdoings of not only the board member that has been indicted, but the other individuals who have also been called in and are subpoenaed to go testify, which include Prissy Roca-Tipton and Drew Brown, and the board attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez, what experience do you bring to the district as a BISD trustee? What makes you more qualified than your opponent?
I believe I bring a lot of experience in terms of working with budgets. Like I mentioned, originally I worked with a budget and oversaw one that was $1.1 billion, which is twice the amount of the BISD budget. And I also, not only that, I know how to work in a team. I know what it's like to work with individuals of different backgrounds and different experiences, different ages. I was the youngest on my team by 30 years, and I was selected to be on this team because I was able to work with different people to not only figure out the problems, but to find the solutions. And I believe that's what we need in our board. We need people who are able to get past what are the problems, what can we do to get better, what can we do to serve our students and our educators the best way possible, and work together because that is what the board is. It is a team, and we need to work with our educators.
You can't be a team with Sylvia
and our everyone on the front lines and our administrators to make sure we're providing the best to our students. Over all of this, I believe I have a really strong work ethic. I work very hard, and I always put my 150% to everything that I do. I have very strong values. I will always be fair, and I will always serve you with integrity. And I never quit. Anything that I've ever started, I've always finished. And I really would be an honor for me to serve on the board. Thank you.
Ms. America?
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the next question, we'll start with Ms. Valdez. What is your opinion of teacher union and associations?
Oh my God.
As a board member, how would you go about working with the leadership of local teacher unions and associations?
I believe teacher unions are extremely important. I believe they provide a sounding board, and they provide a lot of great information, a lot of great benefits for teachers. And they are the people on the front lines, not just our teachers, but our classified, our employees, everybody. And I think that it's important that we hear what they have to present. And especially, I've been going to the board meetings, and I've been seeing how
under 3 board meetings.
presents itself and how all the other unions present themselves, and you all have really great solutions. And I think that's what we need to do, is we need to work together to provide the best for our students.
Thank you.
Generic.
Erasmo, what is your opinion of the teacher unions, associations? As a board member, how would you go about working with the leadership of the local unions?
Well, let me say, teacher associations here in the city of Brownsville, have a great responsibility upon their shoulders. They have a duty. Associations, they receive dues from their member, and they have a duty to represent the majority of their membership. I will say that, I'm a little bit disheartened that some of the associations out there, they're going to ultimately decide who they're going to endorse, who they're going to support. It's going to fall on a couple of individuals and not the whole of the association. Again, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I regret that a lot of the majority of the associations out there, two of them, including y'all's association, were very late in the game in regards to addressing the issues that were of concern to a lot of the individuals out there in regards to what we were going with this pandemic, with this COVID-19. And for too long, what it appeared like was that in y'all's association and another association were out there applauding the superintendent and the school board members. And I was shocked. I was amazed, because I expressed my concerns directly to the leadership of this association and the other one as well, because our people out there, they don't want individuals who are going to sugarcoat things. Our individuals out there don't want individuals who are out there kissing the rear ends of the board or of the superintendent or their administration. They want an association that's going to stand up to these individuals when they're wrong, and of course, applaud them when they're right. I have worked with y'all's association directly. I have met with your leadership regularly at every single time and moment that y'all have asked me to be present at a meeting or a conference. I have been there, but I've been very disappointed with the leadership of this association and with TVEA, to mention them, in regards to y'all's response during the past 6 months out there. I expected something a little bit more, with a little bit more bite, with a little bit more bark. I received hardly anything.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, the next question goes to Erasmo. With the pandemic going on right now, and with good reason, outsiders cannot enter campuses, and totally understood. So with that being said, would you be in favor or opposed to teacher unions having virtual campus visits with staff during the pandemic?
Well, let me say, I don't think anyone should be limited in regards to access to anything that is going on in the district. Look, you guys, there is no reason not to permit individuals to come onto campus in regards to addressing the concerns, the wants, and the needs of the individuals that are on campus. I visited campuses myself regularly while I was a board member, and I did that even before I was a board member, and I was very amazed at the amazing things that were going on at BISD. And I think that's one of the areas where the district has actually failed our community. And that is one of the reasons why, and I'm hoping that the question comes up later on in regards to why we're continuously losing students. But we have failed to market the amazing things that happen at BISD and the amazing talent that exists at BISD. And that is a great, great, great disservice to not only to the district and to its employees and to our students, but to our community as a whole. No one should be limited in regards to having access unless it interferes with the academic process. Individuals should have the right to go and speak to individuals, not only those that fall under their membership, but everyone out there. While I was a board member, one of the first things that I would do when I would enter a campus would go directly to our FNS department and speak to the individuals that were out there, feeding our students, which a lot of people found very, very different. And I'd also talk to the custodians, to the office workers, to everyone else out there to see what the issues were. And because I had that close contact, and because I had that ability to go speak with these individuals, it made me aware of the difficulties that we have at the district and the things that concern, our frontline staff out there. something that has been lost completely by this current board majority. They have no concept or no clue of what's going on in the district. So if the question is in regards to y'all's association or any other association having direct contact with individuals on campus, it's a must.
Time.
You should.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez, same question. You know, in these times with the COVID-19, outsiders are not being permitted to enter campuses due to, you know, restrictions, and they want at the least possible amount of people in a site. So with that being said, would you be in favor or opposed of teacher unions having virtual campus visits during the pandemic?
I would definitely be in favor of allowing virtual campus visits. We're dealing with completely different times, and I think that this is definitely important to make sure you do have access to reach the teachers and staff. As long as it doesn't interfere with learning hours, I feel that any vendor should be able to have access to the school in the safest possible way, making sure that no student learning time is being compromised.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Short answer.
Okay, next question, we'll go to Ms. Valdez. The previous superintendent, Dr. Sendejas, created a foundation for student scholarships that was funded by employee contributions. Okay, yours truly, I contributed to it. Okay, based upon BISD internal audit, the money was not used for its intended purpose. What would you as a board member do to address this possible financial impropriety?
As a board member, it is our duty to make sure that all of any fund is being spent to the best, for exactly what it says it's being spent to.
Oh my Lord.
So I would want to look into it and make sure that every, especially because so many teachers and staff have given to it, and they have the right to know where their money is being spent, at where it went. So I would make sure that we look into this and make sure that we know, and that the people who did donate know as well.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Okay, Erasmo, the previous superintendent, Dr. Sendejas, created a foundation for student scholarships that was funded by employee contributions. Based upon the BISD internal audit, the money was not used for its intended purpose. What would you, as a board member, do to address this possible financial impropriety?
Well, let me first say that the Centennial Foundation, which is y'all referring to, was an amazing foundation. And I know that it was an amazing foundation because I had the opportunity to have conversations with not only the individuals that it benefited outside the community, speaking about our students and parents, but a lot of the individuals inside our district that received benefits from it. It is very, very unfortunate that Drew Brown did everything she could to destroy the Centennial Foundation. And the only reason she had in destroying the Centennial Foundation was that she hated Dr. Sendejas. She still hates Dr. Sendejas. She did everything in her power to discredit anything that Dr. Sendejas did or has done and might possibly will want to continue to do. It is very, very unfortunate because those scholarships help the least economically benefited individuals in our district. They really helped our at-risk students in regards to receiving scholarships to go on to college. And I'm not talking about 10, 20 individuals, talking about possibly thousands of individuals who received these benefits. Drew Brown and this corrupt board majority has not only served to discredit and to destroy the scholarships that were going to our students. We don't have the golf tournament anymore that would also offer scholarships to our students. Now, if we're talking about the audit committee inside the audit department inside the district, let me tell you, it was an arm and continues to be an arm for Sylvia Atkinson. She controlled the audit committee and used the audit committee not only to exonerate Baltasar Salazar, but also to go after individuals like Arvin Tucker, Dr. Sendejas, and a lot of other individuals inside the district who were on Sylvia Atkinson, Drew Brown's, and the corrupt board majority's hit list. Again, Nothing that benefits our students should ever be taken away from them or used against other individuals inside the district. It is very, very unfortunate that the Centennial Foundation has been gutted, destroyed, and decimated only because this corrupt board majority hated everything that Dr. Sendejas did for our people.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Next question will go to Erasmo.
Oh.
Do you support the District of Innovation? Do you believe that the district regained the 2,000 to 3,000 students that BISD had lost to the charter schools? And did it work?
Well, the reason for the District of Innovation, the way it was laid out to all of us, was that it was only to affect the calendar. I was not on the board when they voted for it. I was present at the meeting when it was voted for it, and I stood there next to you all. I actually sat there next to you all, opposed to it, against it. And the reason that I was against it more than anything else was because there was no caveat in regards to producing a statement where it specifically stated that that was the only thing that it was going to affect directly. That is what bothered me. I do not believe that this board or any board should ever have that much power. And I say the board because actually the District of Innovation was to grant power to administration for many, many, many things. And again, the issue that we have currently, which is what I feared back when they voted on it, was that the board was going to garner all control of everything that happened or transpired throughout the district. It interferes with governance. There should be a separation in regards to what administration does. There has to be a minimalization of the power that the board has in anything to do with the district. The reason why this corrupt board majority has done and decimated so much for our staff members, for our students, and for our communities as a whole is because of the overreach and overextent of power that they accumulated because of the board majority that they had. Again, no board should have complete control of everything that transpires, and administration shouldn't either. Now, did we regain the 2,000 and 3,000 students that it was set out there? No, but it wasn't necessarily because of the calendar. They didn't basically give a chance for it to function or to work. The reason that we're continuously have lost students to the charter schools and to other schools is because we have failed to market that which makes BISD shine, which includes our fine arts, our sports, and our academics. We have failed to market it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez, do you support the District of Innovation? Do you believe that the district regained the 2,000 to 3,000 students that BISD had lost to the charter schools?
Lazaro's an idiot.
I believe the District of Innovation, it's important, right, to look into things. And when you hear the name, it sounds great. But then when you look into it, you understand that there's several parts that come up that are part of it. And what I saw that the board approved was the calendar. So I don't, as of what I have seen and what I've heard, is we did not regain the students. But I do think it's important that we get feedback from the community, because it's important to look into what effects it actually had. For example, when it comes to the actual calendar, did it help anybody in any way?
Yes.
We need to get that information.
We have that information.
In regards to specifically the part where the District of Innovation says that we have the ability to take away teacher qualifications section, I'm very opposed to that. I think we always need to foster a great environment for the student, and if a student doesn't have, if a teacher doesn't have those qualifications, I think that could bring harm. So I'm not okay with that part of the District of Innovation, and I'm definitely want to look at this as a whole, because of my understanding is what was approved was specifically the calendar, and I would want to see facts on whether it worked or not. But as far as retaining students, if that was the only issue, I don't see that it did that, but I would like to get more information.
You have no clue.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Oh my Lord.
This next question will go to Ms. Valdez. BISD is currently last in the teacher pay in the RGV. What should be the entry pay for certified employees And what should be the entry pay for classified employees, in your opinion?
As you've seen on my priorities is definitely raising these to be at least at market at the beginning, and then we need to actually make sure we have a long-term plan for this to never let it get this behind again. I believe right now the teacher's salary is $46,575 with the raise of the $2,000 that was approved recently. We're still $5,000 behind from the rest of the Rio Grande Valley. So we need to get up to that as soon as possible. As far as the classified employees, I know there was some adjustments made to it, and we need to keep working because I believe a McDonald's worker is like $13 an hour or $14, and I think we need to be at that level. And so I will make sure that we work with the budget to make sure every single dollar is being spent correctly so that we can reallocate and make sure we address these issues, not only to get them to market, but to make sure that we never let it get this behind again.
Thank you, ma'am. Erasmo, BISD is currently last in the teacher pay in the RGV. What should the entry pay be for the certified employees and for the classified employees?
Well, it seems like we spend so much time on affecting these pay salary studies, and we've actually learned, we've learned a lot from them. It's just that we haven't applied anything that we've learned for our district, for our employees out there. You know, we all know that our staff, both certified and classified, are way under in regards to the pay. You know, we need to follow all the recommendations that have been given to us by all the different studies that have been made. And again, one of the things that most saddened me was when our classified staff would go to different, trainings throughout the Region 1 and find out that other individuals throughout the district, were starting out at $12, $14, $16 an hour when our individuals were getting paid $8, $9 an hour. It is very, very unfair. We are the largest district south of San Antonio. We are the one that has the largest budget south of San Antonio with the most employees per capita in regards to individuals that depend on the district for income. With that said, we just recently had a TASB study in regards to the pay. And what we found out was that one of the things that was, brought forward was how, grossly underpaid our individuals were, but absolutely nothing was done about it. This raise that the board, taunted so well and commended themselves and applauded themselves was something that had already been dished out by Austin, Texas, something that we had already seen in the previous year, but had been kept from our employees. With that said, guys, the problem is not the pay. The pay is not necessarily in regards to the ones that are getting it at the bottom rung. Our issue is that we are way too top heavy. We have 10 individuals at the top that are earning over $175,000 with less than 40,000 students. At a time when we had 53,000 students, we have 5 individuals on the top. We have to cut from the top. We have to minimize our organizational chart and use those monies in order to improve the salaries of our classified staff and our certified staff.
Thank you, sir. Okay, this next question goes to Erasmo first. As a board member, if elected, would you vote to continue the contract of our superintendent? Why or why not?
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that really is very disheartening and everyone should take notice of is that this corrupt board majority extended the contract of the superintendent by 1 year without the superintendent having even fulfilled his first year. Let me tell you, at this point in time, after getting elected onto the board, we're going to have to, restructure a lot of the recommendations, the suggestions, and a lot of the expectations for the superintendent. One of the things that I will state and I will guarantee our community is that there are going to be no golden parachutes for anyone anymore in the district. In regards to his contract, we need to make sure that he is actually earning the $400,000+ that we're paying him a year. I mean, it's the way that his contract is structured is a mistake. And again, this contract was structured under the guidance of Dr. Sylvia Atkinson, who continues to this day have control of the board and the unethical board attorney, Baltasar Salazar. They were the ones that restructured the contract to whereas every single time that any teacher out there got a minimal raise, the superintendent would get a likewise sized raise. That is why this last time when our individuals received a raise, he received a hefty $13,000 to $18,000 raise. It is ridiculous. And again, it all comes about because the individuals that had board majority and continue to have board majority on this board and who continue to want board majority after November the 3rd, they were the ones that set up this cushy contract for the superintendent, which needs to be relooked at by our legal department. But in no way, shape, or form should we even consider for a second handing out monies to an individual who has not worked for those monies. We have to restructure the contract. We have to make sure that the superintendent is actually working and does not require the need or assistance of two other deputy assistants who apparently do all the work for him.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez, if elected as a board member, would you vote to continue the contract of our superintendent? Why or why not?
I want to be more familiar with the contract. I want to look into it and see exactly what it entails.
It's on the webpage.
That there are a lot of things that I'm learning as I look into this position and as I find out more. And I think it's really important that when we do look at an individual at any level, that we look at every aspect that's being in the contract, but also give an opportunity for an improvement plan.
Oh my Lord.
So I think that if being public facing is extremely important, we need to have open communication. We need to be transparent, especially in a pandemic.
Answer the question.
And I would make sure that that is all very important and that everybody has the information that they need. So I would definitely want to look more into the specific contract.
It's on the webpage.
To make sure everybody's being served to the best ability.
It's on the webpage.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to follow up on that question. All right. Sorry, a bird just ran into the window. Okay. Erasmo, you voted to hire the current superintendent. Would you be willing to buy out his contract now? What would be the expense to the district if that was done?
Well, let me say this right now that I did vote to hire the superintendent. And let me tell you, it's one of those things that you want to look back and say, oh my goodness, what in the world were we doing? But you have to understand the whole picture. And that's something that the community needs to understand. Sylvia Atkinson had control of the board. She still has control of the board. She set up an array of different individuals who came in from different parts of the country who in no way, shape, or form would qualify to be a superintendent for the district. That is one of the reasons why, if y'all remember correctly, they opted to increase the salary of the superintendent from $300,000 to $350,000 as a starting base, something that I completely voted against. 100% against the increase to $350,000. With that said, the other individuals that were brought in no way, shape, or form met the qualifications. But again, that's what happens when you have control of a board and control of a majority on the board that is basically corrupt. Would I be in favor in regards to buying out his contract? 100% no. There is absolutely no reason for anyone to be bought out at the district. Now, what we have to do is create some expectations for the superintendent and expect that the superintendent abides and adheres to a lot of the recommendations and a lot of the goals that are set by this new board that is coming in November the 3rd. With that said, how much would it cost us to pay out this superintendent? Very simple. Because this corrupt board, Sylvia Atkinson at the helm of it, because they increased the superintendent's contract by 1 year, without him actually having fulfilled a full year into his contract and increasing his contract in the middle of a pandemic, then you're talking about easily a good $1.6 million. That's something that is not going to happen if I am on the board. It's not going to happen if we have control majority of that board.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez, would you be willing to continue the superintendent's contract, or would you be in support of buying out his contract?
I believe that we need to review the pros and cons. And like I said, I need more information, and I want to look into it and review it in extensive matter, and make sure that everybody's being, especially right now with everything going on, we need to make sure that all of these, everything is taken into consideration, because there is a lot of pros, and I want to review the cons as well. And
you want to review the
we
cons?
have a fair, and that's why I'm running, because I'm willing to do the work and to review everything,
you're in favor
and to
of
make
keeping
sure
the
that we're
superintendent.
serving our community the best way possible. And I will make sure that everybody's input is taken into account when I vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Valdez, you go first in this next question. The previous school board and superintendent, Dr. Sendejas, spent $1.4 million on a scoreboard for Sam's Stadium. It was originally budgeted for $600,000. Do you agree or disagree with that expenditure? Could those expenses have been spent on other needed programs for the district?
If it was budgeted for 600K and then it went up to 1.4, yes, definitely. I feel like we could have spent that in other places for sure.
Thank you.
Oh my Lord.
Okay, Erasmo, the previous school board and superintendent, Dr. Sendejas, spent $1.4 million on the scoreboard for Sam Stadium. It was originally budgeted for $600,000. Do you agree or disagree with that expenditure? Could that excess amount spent, could it have been spent on other programs that were needed by BISD?
Well, let me say, I was very, very vocal back when the expenditure was made against the expenditure. And I was very vocal in regards to the expenditure just because of the question that you just asked. I really felt that the monies could have been used in other means, in other ways. With that having been said, it's a beautiful scoreboard. It's a beautiful scoreboard. It is unlike any other scoreboard in the Valley. And, for far too long, we haven't had great things here in our district. One of the things that we haven't had is a performing arts center, and that is something also that was money that was budgeted in order to build it 5-6 years ago. It never came into fruition. Actually, our taxes were increased, and promises were constantly made by a lot of individuals in regards to having a performing arts center. To this day, we have no performing arts center or any plans to have a performing arts center, because as was mentioned in a facilities meeting by Drew Brown, Philip Cowan, and Minerva Peña, they had no inkling, want, or desire to build our community performing arts center. This is a big travesty to justice in the sense that we have already been taxed for it. It has already been promised to our community, and nothing has happened because of it. It is time for us to spend the monies of our people wisely and fulfill the promises that were made by individuals, even in previous boards. We promised, let's get it done. You can't go back and unbuy the scoreboard. And with that said, it did serve us really well during graduations during this pandemic. I mean, parents out there on the stadiums were able to see their students. Could they place a price on that? Again, I'm not going to say that. Again, I was against it. I was even more against our students not being able to play their instruments during the commercials on it. But again, in regards to the funds, we should use our funds for what they're for.
Thank you. Okay. Next question. We'll go to Erasmo first. Currently, many BISD employees are facing the dilemma of having to return to work and having to send their children back to school, even though they supported distance learning for their children and distance learning as a teacher. What would you tell them?
I will tell them that their administration, the corrupt board majority, and their teacher associations have failed them. And, again, my heart goes out to a lot of the individuals out there that are being forced to go back onto the campuses. Going back onto the campuses is a failed experiment. I have been out here, informing the community on a daily basis, letting them know of the dangers of what we are living with this COVID-19. And let me tell you, folks, it seems that for some reason, it's fallen on deaf ears, because every single thing that we have warned about, every single thing that has happened throughout the world in regards to this coronavirus has not fallen down on this superintendent, his Edinburgh buddies that he brought in, or this corrupt board majority. And unfortunately, guys, for a lot of you all who are the representatives of y'all's teachers association, during the pandemic and the heat of the pandemic, I wanted y'all to join me. I wanted y'all to fight with me in regards to the concerns of a lot of the individuals that are being sent onto our campuses. We started to send in a staff during the summer, and staff died. We started to send in our students for weight and condition training and our band students, and they came out positive. We continue to send individuals onto the campus, and people are dying in the city of Brownsville. People are dying at our districts. And to this day, this corrupt board majority and this superintendent and their administration have even failed to acknowledge that our people have passed away because of COVID-19. And to this day, they're planning to send more individuals onto the campus, despite the fact that we know for a fact that there are things in the air, that the air conditioning units aren't the healthiest out there for our individuals, even without COVID-19. Guys, it is time to fight this superintendent. It's time to fight this corrupt board and let them know that our staff and our children's health and well-being and life is more valuable than the money that is being sent in from TA from Austin.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez?
I think.
Currently, many BISD employees are facing the dilemma of having to return to work and to have to send their children back to school, even though they supported distance learning for their own children and for their teaching. Distance, what would you tell them?
First of all, I think that everything that we're going through right now is completely unprecedented. And I feel that it's so sad that we are being faced with these issues on life or death situations. No life should be spared. I think that it is so hard. And I just seeing my mom specifically, she's 60 and 61, and she's going to be 61, and she'll get mad at me if I say 60. But basically, I've seen what she's doing and how hard she's working to do this virtual learning, and she's literally been practicing with her Zoom and making sure it has the best lighting and making sure that her students can hear her. And I mean, teaching pre-cal and algebra 2 through virtual is so hard. And I just commend every single teacher, because I know they're putting so much into that. I think it's terrible that our state is threatening us with funding in order to go back to school. I think that is terrible that it's coming down from that angle. And I honestly feel that it's tough, because the people who have to go back to school are the ones who don't have the devices, who don't have devices or internet connection. And I think that first we need to make sure that everybody has all of that. We need to continue to fight for distance learning. And most of the teachers that I've spoke to, some of them want to go back because they like the access of having their own classroom. And a lot of them, for personal reasons, prefer to stay home and because they can be with their kids while they're virtual learning. So I think we need to take everybody into account when we're talking about this. And we need to make sure we consult every health expert to make sure we do this completely honest and in the best way possible.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Next question.
No, I should be spared.
Goes to Ms. Valdez. If a student were to test positive or come to the school with a temperature, they are to be isolated into a designated classroom. What staff person is going to be assigned to be with that student? How could this be set up as to not put that employee at risk?
So when we talk about this specific isolated student, I think it's extremely important that we have all of the health guidance and health official guidance from the CDC, from our local officials. I think that we need to make sure that we consult with the local officials and make sure that that person that is going to be in the classroom with the student is somebody who has all the knowledge, all of the training, all of the PPE, everything possible to protect this individual, because we need to make sure that everybody feels safe and that all of the tools are given to them. I think that I'm not a health expert, so I would really want to make sure that we consult with them to make sure who that person is going to be and that every precaution is taken to make sure that they'll be okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Erasmo, if a student were to be tested positive or come to school with a temperature, they are to be isolated in a designated classroom. What staff person is going to be assigned to be with that student? How could this be set up as to not put that employee at risk?
Well, unfortunately for us, and I'll answer the question. Unfortunately for us, it's going to be our classified staff that are going to be in charge of that isolated little classroom out there, because our nursing staff is going to be busy handling other individuals who are also testing positive in the situation. But again, we go back to not having a plan. There is actually no plan in regards to what's going to happen or the what ifs that may occur in regards to having individuals all bunched up together in an isolated little classroom, because you're talking about not only one student who's going to come out positive at our schools, you're going to talk about multiple individuals that are going to be placed in the same room. And let's say that one of the individuals is tested with a little high fever, but doesn't necessarily have COVID-19, but is placed in the isolation room with two other individuals. Then now you're going to have 3, 4, 5, or multiple individuals. There is no plan, and there is no plan because no one has been consulted. We've gone through this summer, and I understand that my opponent has no clue or concept of what's going on at our district, but we spent the whole summer going through all these different task force out there and individuals being brought in to give their opinions who were not necessarily or absolutely positively had no concept or clue of what the medical professionals were saying. There were no medical professionals brought into the board meetings or to administration to discuss what would be the best course of action to take in regards to having individuals test positive on our campus. And I'm talking about teachers and staff that were being brought in. With students, it is exactly the same thing. As of today, I did speak with the mayor of the city of Brownsville because I am concerned. And the health department here in the city of Brownsville has moved us from a stage 4 to a stage 3, which is completely irresponsible because we are still producing positives on our campuses. During the past special called board meeting, the board president, Minerva Peña, made mention that there was an outbreak at Bastedo Middle School. It's madness to think that we are going to be able to contain individuals in an isolated classroom, especially when our nurses are not being given the proper PPE.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Next question, we'll start off with Erasmo. Who has the ultimate responsibility for opening up the school district?
Oh, very simple. The people of the city of Brownsville. The people of the city of Brownsville have the ultimate responsibility in regards to opening the school district. And I mentioned the people of the city of Brownsville because it is about time that the people of the city of Brownsville woke up from the lull and the sleep that we have been in for way far too long. The problem with the people in the city of Brownsville is they have neglected, or they've made to believe to think that they are not the government, that they are the ones that have the final word, the final say in regards to what happens here in the district. That is why, and again, I'm going to say this again, that is why as a teacher associations, y'all have failed our community and failed our individuals that are part of the association. Guys, there is no reason why we as a community, why we as the district should fear the 8 individuals that are on that board. And I mentioned 8 individuals on the board because there's not only 7 board members, there's also a board attorney who is far more powerful than any sitting board member at this time, at this moment. So what we have neglected as a community is to realize and understand that we have the last word. We shouldn't fear them. They should fear the people, because the people are the ones that ultimately are going to decide the length of service of the individuals that are on the board. That is why my stance has been very, very consistent. not one single individual that is sitting on the board right now should come back. And that includes the president, Minerva Peña, Philip Cowan, or little Eddie, who got appointed to the position that I used to have. None of them should come back because they have all failed the district. That is why it is in the hands and the ultimate responsibility of this community in regards to if our schools open or they do not open. The problem is we haven't been as strong voiced as we needed to be. And I'm talking about our community as a whole, but more importantly, as associations. We need to go out there and fight for what's right, especially when it has to do with the health, the well-being, and the life of not only our staff, but also our students and our community as a whole. It is time to unite and take that board back from Sylvia Atkinson.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Valdez, who has the ultimate responsibility for opening up the school district?
I think that it's everybody's responsibility because of what we're seeing right now. It is extremely hard to tell what is real and what's not. What comes from the TEA says this, we have to open. Then the local officials, they wanted us to close, so we were able. I mean, they allowed us to close for a longer time. So I think we all need to work together to make sure that we keep schools closed. It is. I mean, yes, cases are going down, but we are still not clear. And I think we need to fight together to make sure that they are, that we keep everybody safe and virtually learning. And I think that it's tough because it's not clear, and we need to work together. Every entity in our community needs to work together to make sure that the safety is ensured for everybody, because no life is worth this.
Thank you. I'm going to do a follow-up question on this. The reports we have been getting is that TEA is the one that's calling the shots. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity. The reports we're getting is that TEA is calling the shots. And if they don't fund us, would you be willing, if TEA says you don't go back, we're not going to fund you, would you be willing to close all the schools for the remainder of the semester, but TEA holds funding, and so the employees would not get paid? It's a tough question, I know. But, okay?
It's a great question.
Let's start with you, Erasmo, on that.
First of all, it's a great question. It's not a tough question. It's a great question. And let me tell you, just to clarify, cases are not going down. I don't know where my opponent is getting those facts. Cases are not going down. Just today, the governor issued easing off in regards to a lot of the restrictions that were placed throughout the state of Texas, except for the Rio Grande Valley, Laredo, and Victoria areas, because we are still a hotspot. Cases are not going down. The problem, and again, I understand, not being completely, knowledgeable about the matter. I understand. The problem with the numbers is that, first of all, we've been getting false numbers from the county for far too long. The county commissioner's court has failed us in regards to producing adequate, proper numbers. And we all saw that in regards to the big old rise that happened 3-4 weeks ago when we were having like 1,000 individuals test positive. And then now we're at 48 individuals testing positive. The reason that our numbers are so low is not necessarily because that things are getting better. It's because we are not testing as much, but we are still a hotspot. Going back into TEA and funding, let me tell you, I want an administration and I want a school board. And I know it's very simple to go like, well, let's all be together and let's all hug and let's all sing Kumbaya and everything's hunky-dory. It's not hunky-dory. Our community doesn't need individuals who are, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. It's not going to be great. We need individuals that are going out there and going to fight TEA tooth and nail. Like the superintendent from San Antonio, who went up there and stood up to the superintendent and told him, hell no, we're not going to be sending our staff. We're not going to be sending our students onto campus because it is not safe. And the superintendent's responsibility is to take care of their students. And if you are going to threaten us with taking away funding, we are going to take you to court. We have the largest budget in South San Antonio. We have attorneys coming out of our ears. Let's fight TEA. Let's fight the governor. Let's let them know, hell no, we're not going to put anyone's life in danger. That is more important than any funding.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Valdez, the question being again, You know, we are getting reports that this is coming from TEA and they're threatening no funding. You go back to school, no funding. There's no funding, employees don't get paid. How would you handle that?
I'm sorry, it was if you don't go back to school.
Yeah, if you don't go back to school, yes. If you don't go back to school, you don't get paid. I mean, you don't get funded.
And that is what I am hearing too. I see that it is from TEA that they're threatening funding. And what's terrible is that they want the people who do not have access to go back to school first. I think that we need to get a vote. Like, I think we need to make sure that we incorporate everybody and see, because if you don't get paid, then you lose your house. Then you know, I mean, there's so much to this that I am willing to work with everyone to make sure. And yes, we can find, we need a fight. Yes, I agree, but we need to fight together. We need to have a united front, and we need to come up with a solution. And we can state all the problems, but we need to find the solution. And so I think that we need to all work together and be like, well, are we going to be okay without receiving any funding? Do we let's go to Austin, figure out what we need to do. And we need to make sure that every single employee is taken to an account when we make this decision. And that's what I would do. I'll make sure that we make everybody's voice heard.
Okay, thank you.
My Lord.
Okay. Going on to the next question, Ms. Valdez, you'll be first. Okay. We hear from many of our members that they are expected to attend trainings on Saturdays. What recommendations would you make to the superintendent when it comes to staff and professional development?
When it comes to trainings on Saturdays, I haven't heard information on that, and I would definitely want to look more into that. I definitely need more knowledge on that issue specifically. I think it's important that we make sure that Saturdays are not, if they do have to go in, then they should be compensated. And sorry, what was the second half of the question?
Well, what would you make, what recommendations would you make to the superintendent when it comes to staff and professional development? What recommendations would you make to the superintendent?
I think with staff and if the staff and professional development, I would definitely make recommendations that they occur when it is best for everyone. I don't think Saturdays are the best option, but I think that the teachers should be able to decide. There should be for staff development, there should be different options on what suits their schedule the best, because everybody has different schedules, and it might work well for somebody on Saturday and it might work well for somebody during the week. So I think we need to provide options.
Thank you. Erasmo? We hear from many of our members that they are expected to attend trainings on Saturdays. What recommendations would you make to the superintendent when it comes to staff and professional development?
Well, unlike my opponent, I hear those concerns too. I'm very, very fortunate to have constant dialogue and constant communication with our staff. I can empathize with my people. I know exactly what they're going through. I am their ear. And, one of the things that I think that a lot of individuals in the city of Brownsville, they want some answers, some viable answers. We don't need a Miss America pageant type of answers, that go throughout the world. Let me tell you guys, in regards to all these staff and professional trainings and stuff, our teachers will tell you they're tired. They're tired. They have never worked harder in their educational careers, in their educational life. And a lot of the trainings that they are receiving on Saturdays, some during their off time in the evenings, a lot of the trainings that they are receiving are redundant and constantly take them back to the same place. What really has upset a lot of individuals at the district, and I'm sure that y'all have heard about, is getting training for a lot of the different programs that then they're going to have to scrub within 2-3 weeks. you know, a lot of the things that our staff was trained on, a lot of the things that they were preparing for are now for naught. They're not going to happen. And this comes because the superintendent had absolutely no plan starting off distance learning this fall semester. Guys, till this day, this superintendent and his Edinburgh buddies and this corrupt board have absolutely no plan. Again, I know my opponent is like, oh, well, you know, we just giving out the problems and not giving solutions. We were asking that our administration, who is highly paid, come up with solutions this summer. They prepared for nothing. They're the ones that received the salary. They're the ones that are well versed in the educational process. It's time to hold them accountable.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next question. We'll go to Erasmo. Brownsville Educators Stand Together, American Federation of Teachers, has presented a proposed policy change in which seniority in the district is given a higher priority than it currently has. As a board member, would you be willing to support this change to the policy? Why or why not?
Oh, let me tell you, you know, we need to completely value our individuals that have been with our district for, you know, for countless ages. But let me say this: a lot of the individuals who have seniority at the district right now are, you know, are kind of concerned about their employment. They're concerned about their employment because as of 2 meetings ago, we had 76 individuals who, you know, opted to resign or to retire from BISD. And again, I've talked to a lot of the individuals that have, you know, because I have conversations with our people in the community. I talked to a lot of the individuals in regards who are retiring or were leaving the district, and the concerns are always the same. They were concerned because, you know, they're afraid for their lives. They're afraid for their grandchildren's, their children's lives. You know, and a lot of the individuals who, you know, have been with the district for all these years, you know, they do have a lot of underlying conditions. Just living in this community, you know, we have a lot of individuals that have diabetes or a lot of other conditions out there. And a lot of the individuals weren't prepared for the onslaught in regards to a lot of the distant learning that was brought upon them throughout the summer, to the point where they were made to believe that they couldn't continue. So yes, guys, and let me tell you something. I've had an amazing relationship with BEST. Have had a great relationship with BEST, and I would, you know, I would challenge you all to find one proposal that y'all have brought forth that I have stood against, because one of the things that I do best, I did a funny there. One of the things that I do best is, you know, have contact, have communication. And I've made your struggles my struggles. And I've made your wants and desires, because I truly believe that y'all were out there trying to represent the individuals, you know, who pay dues to y'all. And I've always stood with you in every proposal. So any proposal that you all bring forth in regards to seniority or to benefit our staff, our teachers, and our students, I will be for.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez, Brownsville Educators Stand Together, American Federation of Teachers has presented and proposed a policy change in which seniority in the district is given a higher priority than it currently has. As a board member, would you be willing to support and change this into policy? Why or why not?
Yes, I was actually there when Mr. Hammes presented the plan, and I was great. I was able to receive a copy because I was at the meeting, and I feel that this is a really great plan. It moves it from being number 5 on the list to being number 3, and I think that that is definitely important, and I would support it.
Thank you. Okay, next question goes to Ms. Valdez. Would you be in favor of having impartial mediators instead of area administrators to hear the level 1 and 2 grievances?
Area administrators.
Yes, I would be in favor. I think it's important that we make sure we have impartial people to help our anybody from the district who is has grievances. I think it's important that we have a fair approach, and bringing somebody in who is impartial will help with that.
Thank you. Erasmo, would you be in favor of the impartial mediators for the grievances?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to do is go back down to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is area administrators, individuals that are out there that are going to be adhering to the will and the whim of administration, individuals that are not going to be impartial, individuals that are not going to take heed to what are the true concerns of our people out there. And let me tell you, there's a lot of grievances that are submitted at the level 1 to level 2 that should never reach the level 3. And see, that is really, really very, very concerning to me. You know, to this day, it amazes me how many individuals have grievances against the district, and it's something that should not be. We should have constant and open communication with each other in order to take care of these issues in-house without having to have the need of bringing individuals from outside. But let me tell you, with that said, that is partially y'all's fault as associations. And I'll say that it is partially y'all's faults as associations because y'all continue to support Sylvia Atkinson, Drew Brown, and Priscilla Roca-Tipton in the previous elections and the previous campaigns that they ran. And these are the individuals that actually have control of all these individuals that are making these decisions to the level 1, level 2 grievances. And let me tell you, nothing that happens at the district is done without the seal of approval of Dr. Sylvia Atkinson to this day. And that is why this election is so important. This election is so important because you have a choice. You have a choice in regards to supporting a candidate who is clearly going to be in the pocket and control of Dr. Sylvia Atkinson, or a candidate that is not. And you have the same dilemma in each and every single one of these races. Do you want our individuals to continue to file grievances, yes or no? And if the answer is no, then the choice for individual to endorse in these elections is very, very clear. Now, at the current moment, we need individuals from the outside who are impartial, who have no contact or relationship with Dr. Sylvia Atkinson, her corrupt board, or this administration.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So, Ms. Valdez, currently most campus, this goes to you. Okay. Currently, most campus administrators appoint, select their department chairs and UIL sponsors. Would you be in favor or opposed to having the administrative guideline where teachers would select their own department heads and UIL sponsors, and it could be rotated between staff?
I would be in favor of letting teachers pick because they are the ones who know. This issue does hit close to home because my mom was a math administrator, head of her department, and then she wasn't. And so I feel like it's really important that we make sure that we have policies in place that allow for it to be fair, and it to be somebody who is respected by their colleagues, and they should. I'm definitely for this.
Okay. Thank you. Erasmo, currently most campus administrators appoint, select their department chairs and UIL sponsors. Would you be in favor or opposed to having an administrative guideline where teachers would select their department heads and UIL sponsors and would be rotated between staff?
Well, let me tell you, there's it goes back into the seniority measure. Goes back into the individuals that are more capable and prepared. Maybe one of the reasons why a department chair is removed is because they weren't doing their job, or weren't capable or doing what was best for the individuals out there. That could be a reason. With that said, I'm going to use my opponent's answer from a previous question. Guys, it's time for us to start to work together, and we should encourage and motivate our individuals at our local campus area to work together as a team. The problem that we have, something that I guess unbeknownst by my opponent, is that the problem that we have a lot of principals who shouldn't be principals at our schools. And the reason that we have a lot of principals that shouldn't be principals at our schools because they were handpicked for the positions without themselves going through the proper process. There is no proper process in hiring at BISD as of right now. There isn't. You all know there isn't, because anytime they want to hire an individual to any position whatsoever, be it principal who ultimately decides who's going to be placed as department chair or UIL representative in anything, they go through a process where they have a team decide. It's a bunch of malarkey. It's not true. It's not true. That is why we get individuals hired in positions that shouldn't be there. And yes, folks, you know, BEST knows, AOBE knows, TVEA knows that individuals were placed in principal positions, administrative positions that should not be there. What we truly need to do is revamp the whole system in regards to making sure that the individuals that were placed there by Sylvia Atkinson and this corrupt board majority and anybody else out there, especially the vendors, that these individuals out there are actually there because they are the most qualified individuals in the positions where they could actually work together with people and actually let individuals who are the most experienced and the most qualifications to serve in these positions.
Thank you. Okay. Next question, we'll go to Ms. Valdez. Should teachers lose seniority if they decide they don't want to do supplemental duties outside of their contract, including tutorial?
No, I don't believe that teachers should lose seniority based off supplemental. I mean, just the word in itself says that it's extra. So no, I don't believe they should lose seniority.
Thank you. Erasmo, should teachers lose seniority if they decide not to do supplemental duties outside of their contract, including tutorial?
Well, let me tell you, no one should lose seniority for doing things that are outside their contract. But I'm not going to end my response there. Look, guys, we have an amazing district. We have amazing individuals that work for our district in all departments. You know, you just mentioned UIL. You just, we could go on and talk about the different programs that are out there. If there's one thing that I've learned from our staff and our people out there, they want to go above and beyond to make sure that our children excel, that their staff members are also supportive. You know, and I find a lot of knowledge in a lot of the individuals who have been with our district for far too long. So the quick answer is absolutely no. But again, guys, let's bring to light all the amazing work that is done, all the amazing accomplishments that our students and our faculty members have received from not only individuals here in Region 1 and throughout the state of Texas, but at a national level, man. It's about time that we start to put emphasis in regards to the individuals who are constantly going above and beyond. Unfortunately, for a lot of our staff right now are overburdened with a lot of work that is, excess fantasy work. A lot of stuff that they shouldn't be out there doing. They feel no support coming from top administrators. That is why a lot of the individuals who have seniority on there, are opting to leave the district. And this shouldn't be, man. We have to take care of the individuals that have sacrificed so many years, those individuals who have left everything on the table in order to let our children excel in anything that they want to do. One of the things that I think is very important is that a lot of the supplementals, a lot of the trainings, a lot of the tutoring that goes on at the district, sometimes it even isn't accounted for because our teachers do it without even being asked to do it. They take care of our students. We love our teachers.
Thank you. Okay, next question. It goes to Erasmo first.
Oh.
Lack of uniformity and communication are current issues within the district. What are your recommendations on how the district could improve on this?
Oh, it's very simple. And I alluded to it in the previous questions, guys. We're too top heavy. We have too many chiefs at the top and not enough Indians. And unfortunately for us, there is absolutely no direction whatsoever. Throughout this summer, and that's one of the things about the COVID-19 and then this pandemic. And I know my opponent is out there saying, well, Erasmo's just being negative. Erasmo's just being negative. Erasmo's not just being negative. I'm vocally expressing the concerns, the anxiety of my people out there. And it still bewilders me that individuals don't get it. They don't understand that our people are hurting. And look, guys, I know that individuals live a secluded, protected, a very, very nice little life. And, God bless them for that. But that is not the case for 98.5% of our people here in the city of Brownsville who are not in the top 1% in regards to being the wealthiest individuals out there. Our people are hurting. our people are suffering. And this has been brought upon us because there is absolutely no communication coming from the top. Look at guys, I have received recordings where the superintendent basically says that our staff and our teachers are lazy, that they don't want to work. Guys, in this previous meeting, the deputy superintendent, Dr. Trevino, she stated that our special education teachers had been neglectful in regards to the services that they provided for our students during COVID-19. That is horrible. That is a horrible, horrible message. How my opponent thinks they could swing it into a positive is really, really beyond me. And when you have all these individuals at the top, then the message gets muddled. And that is why we have no clear direction. We have to thin out the herd. We have to thin out the top of our organizational chart and take away a lot of those positions that are doing nothing but causing confusion for our people.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Valdez, lack of uniformity and communication are current issues within the district. What are your recommendations on how the district could improve on this?
I believe that it is crucial that we have uniformity in regards to this pandemic. I think communication is key. And I think that we need to use technology to be able to make sure that everybody is well informed. There's so much like social media channels. There is, you can broadcast something like before they used to have Channel 1. There's so many different channels that we can use to make sure that the same message is being delivered to everyone. And it's at our fingertips now. And I think that we need to definitely make sure that this same message is communicated clearly, especially during these times, because this is a crucial time where we need to come together and make sure that everyone has the same information and the accurate information, because we're at the point where not having accurate information can potentially not save a life. So we need to make sure that we look into these channels to make sure that the message is clear.
Thank you. Okay. The next question, it goes to Ms. Valdez. Campuses keep a data wall room showing how each student has performed on all their assessments from district benchmarks to state testing. Are you in favor of the campuses keeping this information? And if so, who should be responsible for updating this data?
So I do understand that this information is posted on the wall. And I think that for morale reasons, we need to look into whether this benefits the teachers or not. I think that we need to make sure that the morale in our district, when we're posting information like this, is so that it is in benefit. That we need to make sure that the teachers know if this information is out there, then we need to let them know, okay, if you're not doing so well and you have so many students that aren't doing well in your class, how can we help? Can we help you by calling the parents? We need to let them know that it is to help and it's not to demoralize them. And I believe that, what the second half of the question was, who's in charge of uploading it?
Yeah, who should be in charge of changing that data wall?
It seems like this data wall should be something that is automatic and updated like with any type of information or technology that we have. I think that it shouldn't be a teacher's responsibility because they have so much going on. So it shouldn't be the teacher.
Who's going to?
Okay, thank you. Erasmo, campuses keep these data walls rooms showing how each student has performed on all assessments from the district benchmarks to state testing. Are you in favor of campuses keeping this information? And if so, who should be responsible for updating this data?
Well, again, you can't exclude the teacher. You can't exclude the teachers from the process. They're the ones that are actually given the responsibility of affecting all these benchmarks and all these tests and all these other things. The data wall, and I understand that my opponent has never been in public school, so probably doesn't know what these are all about. But our staff could call them the war rooms. and the war rooms where you have all these grades up there and all these things and all the benefits that our students are benefits they're receiving from a lot of the different tests that they're getting. Look, guys, what we need to start doing is starting to eradicate a lot of these worthless tests. We got to stop teaching for the test. We got to start to unite with other districts and effect a true change at the state level and demand that our elected representatives out there, they start easing off the foot at the throat of our educators, our counselors who are basically the ones that are responsible for going up there and updating the data, and the teachers who have to be there because they have to provide the services. Look, guys, at the end of the day, and I know that my opponent to this moment has never ever denounced or placed blame on the superintendent. Guys, you have to blame them at the top. The buck has to stop somewhere. And true change at our district is not going to come. It's not going to come from the counselors. It's not going to come from the teachers in respects to something that affects the district as a whole. The true change that's going to come is from the superintendent. And unfortunately for our district, and I know my opponent and other individuals on this race are, patting the superintendent in the back and saying, "Oh, commendable job, superintendent." Let me tell you, the superintendent has failed us. He has not the only one that has failed us. The individuals, the buddies that he has brought in from Edinburgh, his 2 deputy superintendents, his employee benefits individual, his food and nutrition services director, and everyone else that he brought in, the CFO, everyone he's brought in has failed us. That is where we have to find the solution when we start placing blame where blame is due.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do a follow-up question on this data wall. This data wall in these so-called war rooms is data on all the assessments from the students. But would you change your opinion on this data wall if you knew that the data and the information was already there at the teacher's fingertips? There are reports on it already. So would you change your opinion knowing, well, why are we creating these data walls that take all this time when we can press a button and it's right there? So, Ms. Valdez, how do you feel about what I just said?
If you can press a button and it's all there, then definitely we don't need to spend extra time. We all know that our teachers are doing so much and they have so much going on with training, with uploading attendance, with teaching students at different hours depending on when they're available. And they do not need to have this extra data wall be something that they do when it's something that could be automatic.
Thank you. Erasmo, like I said, these data walls take up time. They look pretty in the war room, but the data and the information is already there. A teacher can press a button and the data is there. So does that change your opinion on it?
Let me tell you again, I've actually been in the war rooms on our schools. And let me tell you, there's individuals who truly appreciate them. There's individuals who think that they're redundant. I would say that it would be a strategy that needs to, be discussed and brought forth by the individuals that are actually going to be using the information or the data that is out there. Again, guys, I don't see many war rooms going on right now with this COVID-19 and this distance learning. With that said, there's absolutely no reason for us to have a data wall or a war room out there if we all adhere to distance learning. Because as you mentioned, David, if I can call you Mr. Perez.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
As you mentioned, David, everything right now should be focused in regards to distance learning. And if you could actually go out there and, press a button and everything comes out, well, yeah, the problem with that is that you need preparation for that. You need a plan to be instilled that individuals can adhere to, where all that information, all you have to do is press a button for it. What we're experiencing now, what my opponent mentioned in regards to all of the things that our teachers are experiencing right now, are because we've had no leadership whatsoever coming from the top, from the superintendent and his Edinburgh people. That is where the problem lies. Because if we had started back in April, when we knew that we were going to go into distance learning for the fall, we knew that we were going to go into distance learning for the fall. If we would have started back then everything We could have used technology in an amazing way. We would have been prepared with Chromebooks for everyone and iPads and hotspots, and we wouldn't have to be waiting for them because they were on back order and they hadn't arrived. And a lot of individuals are now being forced to go back onto campuses because they don't have the hotspots, because they haven't received the Chromebooks. Guys, it has been a mess, and it has been a mess because of who my opponent and other individuals refuse to lay the blame on. The superintendent has failed us.
Thank you. Erasmo, this goes to you. First, many employees have significant health issues, cancer, diabetes, different health issues that make it more susceptible to the COVID-19. Many applied for the ADA accommodations, including teaching from home. We are being told that this accommodation is now being rescinded. What would you do as a board member to make sure that this is done on an individual basis and not a blanket rejection of all who applies for it?
I'm very proud that you asked this question. I'm very, very proud that you asked this question because just today, folks, just today, I have countless number of individuals who have applied through HR, because that is the process. That is the route that individuals are being asked to take. Go out there and apply through HR. And HR has received the directive to void, cancel, and to reject anyone, as many of the individuals that come to them. Again, this falls back onto an uncaring, unsympathetic, empathetic board and corrupt board and an uncaring superintendent. And let me tell you guys, and again, as much as my opponent may want to defend and praise the superintendent right now, let me tell you, he has failed our community, and he has failed our community because he has no vested interest in our community. He, his deputies, the employee benefits director, the CFO, the food nutritional service director, all these individuals have absolutely no vested interest in our district. What that means, in case we don't understand, is that they don't care. They don't care that our teachers out there, have diabetes. They don't care that a lot of them have diabetes. They don't even care that a lot of our individuals out there don't have proper health care. And you know what's worse? That, unlike my opponent, 98.5% of the individuals here in the city of Brownsville, lack proper health care. They don't have the means to pay for it. And a lot of the individuals here in the city of Brownsville travel to Matamoros, to Mexico, in order to receive the little health care that they can get, because it's the only thing that they can afford. And again, this corrupt board majority doesn't care. The superintendent doesn't care. And of course, my opponent doesn't care. With that said, they can't go because of COVID-19 and the borders being closed at all. HR needs to be changed, reprimanded, and removed.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez, many employees have significant health issues, cancer, diabetes, pulmonary issues that make them more susceptible to the COVID-19. Many had applied for the ADA accommodations, including teaching from home. We are being told that this accommodation is now being rescinded. What would you do as a board member to make sure that this is done on an individual basis and not a blanket rejection by the district?
Well, first of all, I believe that it is extremely important that we look at every single individual case, and we will look at every individual case to make sure that this is not rescinded. And so we will do everything possible. And I think that we need to look at exactly the people who have said this, need to make sure that they communicate to us, and we need to look at every single person who has had this happen to, and make sure that it is back in place. Like I have said repeatedly, and I will continue to correct the record here, everything that my opponent has said about me isn't true. I think that you all have heard me on here, and I am willing to work with everybody in a fair manner. I am willing to do all the work to make sure I have the proper information and not misinform anybody. And that's exactly what I want to do, and especially when it involves the lives of our staff.
Thank you. Okay, this next question goes to Ms. Valdez. Brownsville Educators Stand Together / American Federation of Teachers, we were the first of the unions to provide a comprehensive plan for a safe return to schools. And I know that because I was a part of that plan, and that was back in April, all right? BEST AFT was the first to promote distance learning for the entire first semester. Do you support our position there?
I definitely support distance learning for the entire semester, without a doubt. I think that's the safest way to make sure that everybody is, I think it's the safest way for everyone. And everybody has worked so hard to make sure that they learn all of these different, all the Google Classroom, all the people who learn Teams, and then Google Classroom came into play, and people are upset about that. There's been just too much time, and teachers have gotten the hang of it. I've seen teachers who are even using little Bitmojis, and they're getting so creative. And I've spoken to so many of them, and they have enjoyed it. And so I think we need to. I would definitely support distance learning for the entire semester.
Thank you, ma'am. Erasmo. BEST AFT was the first of the unions to provide a comprehensive plan for a safe return to schools. BEST AFT was the first to promote distance learning for the entire first semester. And like I said, seriously, I was part of that. We did that back in April. Okay? Do you support that?
Let me tell you, we have been fighting for the same thing since April, David. I mean, exactly the same thing. Look, David, and BEST leadership, we were screaming at the top of our lungs based on information. I know that my opponent wants to take little jabs in regards to, oh, I don't like the superintendent. It's not about that. It's not misinformation. It's stating facts. And I'm very proud that y'all threw out that distance learning since April plan, because it was the only way to go back, David. It was the only way to go back. But in regards to supporting it now, I don't know what the heck my opponent is talking about. It's a done deal. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because people like my opponent, who were out there patting the back of the superintendent, patting the back of the individuals that are on this board, individuals who continuously want to keep control of this corrupt board majority in Sylvia Atkinson's pocket, for her to continue to decimate the district piece by piece. David, if this board, this corrupt board majority and this administration had listened to you all, had actually listened to you all, but the problem, and you know, David, and Patrick knows, and Lázaro knows, and everybody else knows, that they don't listen to anything that we say. They only listen to Sylvia Atkinson and her corrupt board majority. That's the only ones that listen to, and they're the ones that put us in this hole. But you know what? Nobody wants to verbalize it, because if you verbalize it, then you're being negative or you misinforming the community. It's not the case. We actually care about our community. I mean, we're the ones at the same level down here. We are at the forefront. We are fighting not only the coronavirus here at the front line, but we're also fighting a corrupt board and an administration who has drugged us down the hole. It's too late. Danielle, it's too late for us to support distance learning in this semester. It's done. It's over with.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to do a follow-up on that question, that same question. Now, I'm not part of the debate, but I have my numbers. I'm not going to state what my numbers are, but I know what my numbers are. So I'm going to ask this and see what you think, okay? What data would you use to determine when it is safe to return to schools for both students and staff? Let's go. It's Ms. Valdez first.
I would use the data from our CDC, from our local health officials. And I think that we need to make sure that it is the most up-to-date data. And I would make sure that we have to make sure that this data is updated at the right time, because of what we've been seeing is sometimes it's not updated right away. So I think that we really definitely need to make sure that we're looking into this. I do not support going back if we are, we're not ready as a community. A lot of, as you've stated, a lot of our people in Brownsville have these pre-existing conditions that have that will be horrible for them to go back. And in what going back to school means is when you go back to school, you might have a child, but a lot of our families entrust the grandparents to help them with their learning. And I have seen so many grandparents who are helping right now while their kid is is at work. So maybe they're the parent, and the parent has to work, and the grandparent is the one that's staying at home with the kids on their iPads or their Chromebooks, and they're struggling. And I just believe that if we go back to school, we have so many people who will be affected, and a case will just result in a lot more cases and a lot more deaths. And so I think that I want to make sure that we're using the correct data. And I would make sure that wherever our data source is from, that I consult with your numbers, with what you're talking about, with the county, with the CDC, and to make sure that we make the best decision.
Okay. Erasmo? Okay. What data would you use to determine when it is safe to return to schools for both students and staff?
Well, let me say, there's no way that I would ever use the CDC numbers, ever. I mean, that has got to be the most ridiculous thing I've heard all day long today, or the health department's numbers. And I'm going to tell you why. And David, your numbers coincide with my numbers. And I'll tell you why. Because unlike my opponent, I'm actually in tune with my community. I mean, I live amongst my community. I eat with my community. And let me tell you guys, when I first started screaming bloody hell in regards to how badly the county commissioner's court failed us in regards to reporting proper numbers, the same court where my opponent's dad sits on, let me tell you, that same court failed our community by providing our citizens and our people incorrect numbers, the same numbers that this corrupt board and administration used in order to make decisions that were going to affect our people's lives. They don't care. The county commissioner's court, the health department, they don't care. They're ill-equipped, ill-planned, and ill-staffed because they continue to hire the compadres, the buddies, the individuals who are the top 1%, like my opponent, into jobs that they don't deserve, that they should never have. And let me tell you, you know what numbers I use, David? The same numbers you use, the numbers that were produced by my people. Because during 4th of July weekend, that's when I really started to place doubt in regards to what the county numbers were producing. When I started to see on my news feed the different black ribbons of the individuals who were passing away. So what I did, I went to the funeral homes, and I went and I spoke to the individuals, and I asked them how many people had died during the 4th of July weekend. You know how many people died during 4th of July weekend? 75 people died in the city of Brownsville during 4th of July weekend. You know how many my opponent's father and the county commissioner's court and the health department reported? 3. And with those numbers, these individuals were making the decisions that ultimately place our staff, our people, our students, and our community's life in danger.
Thank you, sir. Okay. The next question goes to Erasmo first. Okay. BISD student enrollment is expected to decline by 1,000 students a year for the next 5 years. As a board member, what would you do to reverse this?
Well, we have to bring confidence back to the district, guys. And the way that we bring confidence back to the district is by not sugarcoating the problems. And look, guys, I understand that my opponent has lived a very sheltered, very protected life where everything has been handed down to her, has never had to work for anything that she had been given. And I understand that, and I applaud that, that is awesome. That is great. But let me tell you, that is not the case for 98.5% of the individuals here in the city of Brownsville who struggle, who have a hard time. And we have to pinpoint the problem. And the problem is in the superintendent, his Edinburgh buddies, and this corrupt board that continuously decimate this district. Look, guys, and let me tell you, David, I think your numbers are wrong. I don't think we're going to lose 1,000 students per year for the next 5 years. I'm going to say that we're probably going to lose a lot more. I mean, we still don't have the numbers in regards to the individuals that we're going to lose this school year, but can you imagine the individuals that we're going to lose just this year alone? Goodness gracious. And let me tell you, it's about time to start taking up arms. And the first thing that we need to do in order to bring back our numbers and to bring back our people back onto the campus is not elect Sylvia Atkinson's candidate. And I'm sorry, it is very, very clear in this race in particular, who is not Sylvia Atkinson's candidate in this race. And we cannot bring Sylvia Atkinson and her people back onto the serve and to serve themselves from this district is because they pocketed the resources that should have gone to our students. They pocketed the monies that belong to my teachers and to the educational process throughout our community. And that has got to stop. And we have got to use our resources to market our district and to show individuals the amazing things that happen at BISD at the lower level, because at the top level, despite the fact that my opponent continuously praises the superintendent, at the top level, they are a mess. The superintendent has failed us. His deputy superintendents have insulted us, and the area supervisors that they have, the 7 of them that they have, need to actually start doing their job and fighting for this district.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Valdez, BISD student enrollment is expected to decline by about 1,000 students a year in the next 5 years. What actions as a board member would you take to reverse this?
Well, first of all, I think that BISD has so much to offer, and like our AP classes, our dual enrollment, our vocational programs, I think all of these need to be marketed to our community. We need to make sure that all of this information is disseminated in the best way possible so that we work with our community to make sure that the parents know that BISD is the best choice. So that is what I would do. And just so everyone is clear here, I have worked for everything that I've had, everything that's been handed to me, nothing has been handed to me. I have started at the Lopez store since I was really young, cleaning the shelves. Then I worked up to counting the quarters. While I was in college, I worked 3 jobs. I literally started working 1 week after I graduated from college, and I have worked every single day of my life to make sure that my family is proud of me and that I'm giving back to the community, and while holding all of these positions, while excelling in my work, while being top 10, while having a position that somebody who didn't have, that was 30 years older than me, I was still able to serve my community no matter what. So that's what I have to show, and I will always do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, the next question goes to Ms. Valdez. Retaliation and harassment are unfortunately considered a way of life in this district. What would you do as a board member to prevent it?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part. Retaliation, harassment, and then I didn't hear the last part.
Okay. Retaliation and harassment are unfortunately considered a way of life in this district.
Give me the answer. Give me the answer.
What would you
Somebody
do
give me the
as a
answer.
board member to prevent it?
Give me the answer. Give me the answer.
I believe there's no room for retaliation and harassment. And as a board, I would seek that we improve the morale together. I think that there should not be any, there should be anybody who is the person conducting the harassment and it should be removed. I don't think that they should be involved with teams, with students, with teachers. Education is the foundation of our community. And we need to make sure that everyone feels safe and everyone has everything, all the tools that they need. They do not need to deal with harassment or retaliation. They need to be in a safe environment to provide the best for our students. And that's what I believe. And I think that anybody who deals with this should suffer from the consequences.
Thank you. Erasmo, retaliation and harassment are unfortunately considered a way of life in this district. What would you do as a board member to prevent this?
Well, the reason that I'm running for this position at this point in time is because of retaliation and harassment. Retaliation and harassment is, alive and well at BISD. And the reason that retaliation is alive and well at BISD is because we have Sylvia Atkinson as the head of the snake in regards to this corrupt board who brought in a wonky administration that has constantly, been a disservice to our people. And I appreciate my opponent, recognizing that I do have 30 years experience over her in regards to, dealing with issues inside my community and fighting for my community. And, again, going back into, being protected and being taken care of and, being given everything, that is not the case for our teachers out there. Our teachers actually have to fight for what they have, actually have to, spend time in regards to, dealing with children, going out there and studying to get their masters, to get their bachelors, to get their masters, actually holding 2 or 3 jobs that weren't given to them on a golden platter. And having to go through all that, then going into a district and being treated like a lesser individual by these individuals where retaliation and harassment exists is really, really unfortunate. But again, it starts from the top. There is a culture of retaliation and harassment because it is permitted by these individuals that have been elected into office. And I'm sorry, I appreciate all the good things that my opponent has been given in life and everything else. But bringing back Sylvia Atkinson or someone that is easily going to be controlled or manipulated by Sylvia Atkinson to the board is not only a disservice to our students and our teachers that's going to permit that harassment, retaliation continue, it's a disservice to our people here in the city of Brownsville as a whole. It needs to stop, and it stops November the 3rd.
Thank you. Okay. This next question, it's a follow-up, so it's going to go back to Ms. Valdez. Ms. Valdez, your opponent has indicated that due to your social class, the fact that you attended private schools and a private university, you cannot identify with a common person. What is your response to your opponent's claim?
My response is I have worked for everything that I have. I come from a family of people who are extremely hard workers. I believe that when you see our community and you see what my family has done to work their way to serve the community, I'm just a testament to that. I have worked so hard. When I went to SMU, I wanted to have all the best internships. I went there on a full scholarship. My dad worked 3 jobs to get me and my sisters through a Catholic education. We do all of this selflessly, and that's what I will do. I will do this all selflessly. I worked. I had an internship that didn't pay, so I still had to have a job while on campus. And while all doing this, I still was able to provide for my community. I still volunteered. How? No matter what. I always gave back, no matter how hard how well I was doing. I always made sure to give back to my community, and I will promise to serve you the best way possible. I don't give up. I don't quit. I've never quit anything in my life. I will always serve you to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Erasmo, on your podcast, you champion yourself as the voice of the employees. If elected as a board member and an employee or association respectfully disagrees with you on an issue, would you retaliate against them?
Let me unmute. Hello?
Yes.
Let me be very, very, very clear. What I say, I mean, and I hate retaliation and I hate harassment. I have experienced it myself. My opponent alludes to she's never quit anything in her life, but again, she's had an easy pathway to everything out there. And I'll answer part of the allegation in regards to me stating that she's been given everything to her life. The fact of the matter is she can't empathize with our students who have to eat cafeteria food. She's never had cafeteria food in her life, never set foot in a public school, never had to want and need for internet service, never had a want and need for not being able to have proper health care, never had the need. And just to inform my opponent, there are several of our students who are at-risk students and who are suffering. In regards to my podcast, it's I'm very, very open and transparent. And if you have watched my podcast, you'll know that I answer all questions. As long as the questions come in respectfully, I will respond to any question out there. And let me tell you, I've had my disagreements with Best. I've had my disagreements with a lot of individuals out there. It doesn't mean that we have a disagreement and then we don't push forward on another deal, another measure. And I'll give you a clear example. I've spoken to Patrick and I'll mention Patrick if I Mr. Hams in different occasions, and I disagreed. Very, very bluntly. I disagreed 2 years ago when y'all did a no endorsement in the race. And let me tell you, we had some heated words, and he will attest to that. We had some heated words. That didn't mean that me and Patrick didn't sit down later and had a cup of coffee every single time that he called, because I truly want to believe that at the heart of the matter, Patrick, the leadership at Best, they have the best interest of our people at heart. So no, we're going to work together. I am going to be the next board member for Place 5. And let me tell you guys, together, we will bring about the change that is so much needed in our community. Together.
Fine.
Okay. Thank you. All right. It's 7:56, so we're approaching the deadline. I had more questions, but let's finish it up. So we'll finish it up. Each one will have a minute and a half for a closing statement. Okay, a minute and a half for a closing statement. Lázaro will be keeping the time. So Erasmo, we'll start with you.
Well, again, thank you to the membership of Best. I entered this forum, sort of believing and thinking that there was no way that I was going to get endorsed, that the election committee, the selection committee in regards to the election had already made up their mind that they were going to endorse my opponent. But with that said, I still wanted to come out here out of respect for the invitation, out of respect for the leadership of Best, but even more importantly, guys, out of the respect for the members who form part of this district and who have entrusted you, the leadership, with their dues. Guys, we are living through tough and rough times. We don't need someone that's weak. We don't need someone that can't sympathize and empathize with our people out there. We need someone out there that is true and tested, someone who will be a fighter for you, someone who will not take the bull crap of the superintendent and anybody else, but put them in check and put them in place. Someone who will disagree with you, the leadership of Best, fight with you, and the next day go up and have a cup of coffee and say, let's see what else we could fight together, guys. That is the type of individual that you want to endorse for this race. That is the type of individual that you should be endorsing for this race. So let me tell you guys, a huge responsibility is being placed on the individuals who lead this organization. And I pray that tonight you all make the right choice, that together we could bring about the change that is so greatly needed. The eyes of the community, the eyes of your membership, guys, is upon you. Thank you so much for everything for tonight. And thank you to my opponent.
Thank you. Ms. Valdez, closing statement. You have 90 seconds, a minute and a half. Go ahead.
I would like to thank the members of Best again for inviting me to participate in this forum. I believe that my experience in working effectively on a team, my familiarity with working with large budgets, and my strong ethic and determination will be an asset to the board. And as of your Board of Trustees member, I will ensure that the safety and well-being of our students, teachers, and staff are my top priority. Most importantly, I will work hard to represent the district and staff and with the principles of honesty, integrity, and fairness, and public service. And above all things, I will promise you this: if I'm elected, I will not quit. I always finish what I start, and I always value my commitment to the district and to my community. I humbly ask for your vote and support this November 3rd. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Okay, that concludes our forum. I want to thank both of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, and good luck to both of you. And that concludes this forum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, guys, let me tell you, that was mega fun. I like forums, but yeah, I mean, I love forums. I enjoy them, as the forums are an opportunity to face your opponent on one-to-one and to, go out there and let them know these are my concerns. And let me tell you guys, I don't know who the organization is going to endorse, who they're going to say this is the individual that's going to take us forward. But honestly, guys, there is absolutely no way that my opponent will serve the community, will serve your better interest, or serve you better than I can. Because I am Erasmo Castro. I am the cheese, and there can be only one. God bless, and we'll see you in an hour. We'll be back. Come back at 9 o'clock, and we'll do a rundown in regards to the forum, and get your thoughts on it. And be ready, guys. I want y'all to honestly, give your honest opinion, and I'll take everything. Okay, guys. God bless. Take care. See you in an hour.